Chris's mic
Makes
wasn't
sense.
working. That's the
Did you plug mine into where you would normally have it go to the computer?
more than likely.
Yeah. How about now?
is
Can
it
you hear us
better?
now?
It should be there now.
Well, Janelle, if you can hear us, hi.
The bar's moving, and it wasn't
Janelle,
moving
if
before.
you can hear
Oh.
us, blink once.
Thank you so much. We just did our whole fun intro, and no one heard
There we go.
There we
All
go.
right, perfect.
Yay.
All right, take 2.
Take 2.
Okay.
Woo. Okay, so,
So,
Mr. Chris, what are we doing today?
so first of
Mr.
all,
Chris.
Mr. Chris, I like this. Only my wife calls. No.
Nope.
No.
Let's
not go
not
there.
going
Let's
there.
not
Throwing
go
the
there.
trash, garbage.
It's named like one of your cats.
Are you watching a video while we're
No,
streaming?
Philip was double checking to make
So
sure.
he won't
I
listen
also
to
bring
our
up the chat.
podcast, but he'll watch
Gotcha.
our video.
I bring up the chat.
We have 2 people.
Even though the chat's like right there.
Well, yeah, but I can respond right.
Yes, you
Anyways.
can respond by typing.
So I was listening. I actually happened to go back and listen to our like first year anniversary episode, and one of the things I was kind of curious about is we had a list of like games we were wanting to play, and so I just wanted to pick your brains. We talked a little bit about this in our planning session, but like games that's currently like on your mind as your favorite / want to try.
Roots.
Okay,
Because it
all right.
looks cute. I have no idea what it's about, but it looks adorable.
Root?
Root? Yeah, that's it. Not Roots.
Yeah, Roots,
Well,
the
I was
game
talking about
version.
RPGs,
Oh.
but there is a Root RPG coming to Kickstarter later this year from Magpie Games.
Oh,
Is
look
it-
at Corey. She's ahead of the game.
Cool. Not on purpose. Certainly not.
Magpie, they made what Urban Shadows.
Urban Shadows.
And,
Oh,
Yep.
I love Urban Shadows.
Yeah,
Oh, it's
and
gonna be
Bluebeard Bride.
Yeah.
That-
Yep. Yep.
I like the idea of it, but it makes me scared.
It's scary.
Okay, well, that was me. What about you?
RPGs, huh?
Yeah, either your
Um,
favorites or
Well, I'm excited to look into some of these source books that they made for Genesis, because obviously the Fantasy Flight Star Wars game is just
Superior
has
to all.
and will always be probably
Your
my
friend?
favorite. Yes, my friend. Yeah, so I'm excited to see what those source books have. I'd like to dig into Kids on Bikes, maybe. Or even Kids on Bikes, I think is what I'd say.
it's over there. You can take it home.
Oh yeah, I know. There's so much to do, so little time.
That's true.
Okay,
Which is why when I was like, "Hey, who wants to run the next game?" Crickets.
that's
No.
right. That's right. Well, I took the book home for a while, and I was like, nope,
Yeah.
I don't have time for this.
Yeah.
And then he threw me
So-
the book.
What about Kids on Bikes makes you want to play it?
Well, just the fact that I love Stranger Things so much, and that, yep, that's pretty much
You
it.
should also look at Tales from the Loop, just because the artwork is gorgeous.
Yep, and it evokes feelings of Stranger Things as well.
Yeah.
So,
And now there's the new source book coming out that's Things from the Flood,
oh,
where you play as teenagers as opposed to kids. See,
Okay.
in Things from Tales from the Loop, you can't die,
Gotcha.
whereas in Things from the Flood, you now can.
So with
It's
the
basically like the stuff from the Loop getting corrupted, basically.
who is the one with the baseball bat in Stranger Things? The Steve something.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
So you get to play as Steve and that group,
Yeah.
that cohort
yeah,
instead.
the best,
I like that.
the best mom.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he is a good mom.
He's a
I
good
forgot
mom.
about
He's a
that.
good mom.
Oh.
What else? Oh, there's the
And then-
Expanse RPG, which we played at Gen Con. It's all right.
I'm not into decent
I think
systems.
I'm more excited to see what they put in the source book if it's anything new.
Gotcha. That you can take and then play in like Genesis or
Yep.
something.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Basically,
that's it for
Jimmy's
me.
thing is he just wants to take every single RPG ever and port them into Genesis.
It's
That's-
yeah.
The
yeah.
narrative system is just so much better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chris,
All
are
right.
you looking up
Yep.
yours?
Yeah, so I'm trying to remember the names of the couple that I have to go through.
Now that I took like 5 of them.
No, by all means. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gave me time to look up some.
Is
He's like, go name some more.
were you interested in playing Gloomhaven, or was it just?
Oh,
John?
no, I'm definitely playing Gloomhaven.
Yeah.
Again,
John.
board
Yeah.
game, but
But it's like an
Well,
RPG.
board
it's a
game with a
legacy
story.
Yeah.
game.
yeah.
Right. Yeah. So
I know the line blurs, but
Yeah.
I helped him assemble that whole container for it.
oh,
so
you did?
Does it
So
look
that
good?
that
So
was
you
my
have-
payment. Oh
yeah,
yeah,
you
no,
have
no,
to
no. The
play it.
container was awesome. So yeah, I told him I have to play.
Oh yeah.
Well, if he ever wants people to get together, Jimmy and I offer ourselves as tribute, and we'll pay him in something.
That's right.
Well, it's a good thing we started a podcast so we can organize our game
Yeah.
nights.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Anything that helps at this point.
Yeah.
I got a couple of Kickstarters that I've been meaning to play. City of Mist.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's one I
Yeah.
won.
yeah.
In fact,
City
I
of
think I
Mist.
didn't back that because you did.
Yeah. So I got quite a bit of good info for that one. I got the core book and all that stuff at home. It's really just a matter of
That
sitting
book is huge.
down. Yeah, it is.
Is
and
it
the
like-
artwork,
it's like
the artwork's
superhero
fantastic.
related.
Is
right?
it like Stephen King the Mist? What kind of mist?
No, so
It's like a noir superhero tale.
it is.
Ooh.
Yeah. So basically, the way that it's set up, it's a I don't know, city noir kind of style. I think New York City
Yeah.
in the 40s. And then there is this mist that permutates everything, I suppose, or permeates everything.
Permeates, there you go.
And basically, people who are affected by the mist gain powers, like additive things
Gotcha.
that aren't local to everybody. Right? Not everybody gets them, but your characters do. And so it's a neat little mechanic. It's got a lot of good story building area, and I really kind of
Cool.
like that aspect of it. And it's very atmospheric, and you know me and my atmospheric games.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna go in and there's just gonna be like the gamers just gonna be filled with mist.
Chris is going to be painted in black and white.
Yeah.
Can we? Does it have the soliloquy thing like noirs do, where you just kind of like talk as yourself?
Yeah, I don't know. One of the reasons why we haven't played it yet is because I haven't had enough time to really sit down in it.
Uh-oh.
Sorry.
Absorb
He's
the whole
playing
thing.
off.
All right, I guess I'm done. Phil.
No, I was waking up the computer and it decided to click a thing.
So that one sounds really cool.
Yeah, I have another one called where did it go? Legacy, Life Among the Ruins, I believe.
And you
is what
still
it
got
is.
that Shadows of Esther.
Yeah.
I always want to call it estrogen because it just.
Yeah.
That game
It is
sounds
far.
amazing.
Yeah. If it is, estrogen is a terrifying thing.
It was Esterin.
Yeah, Esterin.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, I was close.
Yeah.
Esterin is going to be a cool game. That one, that's actually
You've played that one.
I played it at Gen Con.
Yeah.
Yep. And we got very creative in our answers. So it was a fun game. That one is think of The Witcher, the game,
Yeah.
right? And granted, there's a Witcher game coming out.
Which they.
But
You
I
guys
mean,
tried that, didn't
We
you?
did, and no one showed up for the event, so we didn't get
Yeah,
to
so
play
we didn't
it.
actually get to
Oh,
try it.
really?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
looked through like the people who sat down at the table were amazing. Super
Yeah.
nice group.
Yeah.
They read the books, and a couple of them have played the game.
Yeah.
But our GM didn't show up.
That's
Yeah.
terrible.
Yeah.
We
Okay.
we went and looked through the book,
source book?
the RPG book, and I don't know, it just had a low production quality.
Yeah.
Did not impress me.
No, and
So-
it just looked like it had a lot of formatting issues.
Yeah.
And
Also, I mean, we asked them, how they dealt with the fact that Witchers are solitary, and basically the answer is that not everybody plays as a Witcher. And
Yeah.
you're like, well, what's the fun in that?
Yeah.
I feel like
Everybody's gonna want
You
be a
get to
Witcher.
play as that side character that everybody hates.
right.
it could be cool if they made the Witcher a glass cannon, but like he is not a glass cannon.
It's
Anyway,
just a jack
sorry.
of all trades.
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead.
So yeah, Esterin is again one of those dark fantasy kind of games where you are vastly underpowered compared to a lot of the nasty stuff that kind of lives in the dark. So it's again another one of those atmospheric games. It's got a kind of old world kind of feel to it. So looking forward to that one. And then I guess the last one I have a copy of Legacy: Life Among the Ruins. That's actually kind of an RPG legacy game to where you actually play through generations.
Mm.
So, and I guess as you progress through your generations,
That's
you
not the vampire
kind
one,
of
is
adapt.
it?
No.
Okay.
No.
There's a Vampire the Masquerade legacy
Legacy.
game coming out.
Uh,
That's again, you play as like a different generations of the same vampire family.
yeah, no. This isn't vampires per se. This has all sorts of different classes and factions and stuff that you go through. But basically, you'll play through, and I don't know if it's every game session, but you'll essentially end up, your character will solve or fix or whatever, and then the next game, I guess, or I don't even know if it's the next game, but soon thereafter, you play as their descendants, right?
Cool.
And you kind of work through as the whole area evolves.
Yeah. That's very Lord of the Rings, Anne Rice feeling, where like
Yeah.
you work as multiple generations.
Yeah.
Are you gonna save up this year at Gen Con for that big like? What was it that there was that RPG we found the last time you were there that was like Neo Genesis or
Oh.
whatever that was like $150 for the set, but it looked gorgeous.
Yeah, yeah. No, the art. I got to admit though, when I go and I find a game, the art is the first thing that draws
Yeah.
me in, right? Because
It
you
has
don't know anything about the game at that point unless you've done previous research.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And to be honest, half of the frickin' RPG books that I have, I bought because they were pretty.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And I
You're not
was like,
supposed
hey,
to judge a book by its cover.
I would
but
like to read this because at least every couple pages there's pretty pictures to look at.
Yeah.
But it's nice when you come across the ones that are well put together like that and have good game mechanics that
Yeah.
you can actually
That's
transition
what happened
into a
with
game.
us in Everdell.
Oh, 100%.
I mean,
It's just covered in monarch butterflies, and I was like, I want that.
all we knew was it was a worker placement game, and it looked like Redwall, and we're like, here you go, here's $75.
That's why
Oh, wow.
I just got in a review game called Brass Birmingham or Brass Lancashire,
Okay.
and it's like a really like in-depth Euro game that's usually right outside my wheelhouse, but it's so pretty.
Right.
And I found that if it's so pretty, that can
Yep.
keep me enticed enough to actually like the game.
I found straight up anything that has like gold foil that's reflective on it. Like,
All right, this
Bluebeard's
is more
Bride.
evidence that Corey is a cat.
Literally
100%.
shiny.
Corey's shiny.
I-
Shiny.
Yeah.
Shiny.
Everdell, shiny. Bluebeard's Bride, shiny. Want them.
Yeah, Bluebeard's Bride would be fun to play as well. That'd
Yeah.
be interesting to play an aspect of somebody's psyche.
Yeah.
There's also that Everyone is John, I think
Yeah.
isn't that the same
Yeah.
kind of idea?
Mhm.
Is Bluebeard's is that basically just like a rated R version of Inside Out?
Yes.
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah,
It has
kinda,
more
yeah.
murder.
So,
than
no,
any other
so
more.
no, for the
Mixed
crowd,
with being John Malkovich.
Oh, okay.
Bluebeard's Bride is based on an urban fantasy myth that like there's a woman that gets married to this guy with this blue beard, and he's like, oh, you can go anywhere in the house, do whatever you want, you just can't go in this one room. And then finally she goes in that one room, and it's all the corpses of his other dead brides.
Right.
Which is messed up.
And so you all play as the bride in different aspects of her psyche.
And she meets up all the other ghosts of the other brides.
I guess I haven't read it. I haven't read it.
And
Or
this
listened to
is
it played.
this is as she tries to escape the house, or
So
Well, I
y-
think it's like you play through the story,
story,
and
yeah.
it's just
okay.
And I think that you can choose not to go into the room.
Right,
But you're always going to be confronted by the other brides.
Yeah.
Huh, interesting.
So it's cool.
I can't say much because I know nothing about it.
Oh.
That might be a fun one to try and play at Gen Con, where somebody
True.
else is running the game.
Yeah.
There we go.
What about you, Philip? You got to play Star
So,
Trek.
I did get to play.
Have you seen all the new books that's come out?
Yes. I'm dumb. I just haven't downloaded them yet. Because
Because you bought a lot of like.
when I bought it, it was like, yes, I bought like the player's handbook and all the source books that they were going to come out with. And they were like, we just haven't released them yet, so you're going to get a PDF link as soon
Gotcha.
as they release. Yeah.
So you just spent over time just getting PDF link. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's been some cool. Because there's a book for each, like the command, the science, and the,
Oh, really?
the security operations.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So there's a book for each one of those. There's like an alpha quadrant book and like a beta quadrant book. and
quadrant.
Yep.
Can I be
Lots
a
of
Q?
source. You cannot yet.
Yeah, I don't. Yes.
You could be a depowered,
I don't know how they
you
would
could
do
be
that.
a depowered Q,
Yeah, right.
otherwise
That's
known as a
right, you could
human.
be
Yeah.
That's right.
Can I be the sun?
Guinan will stab you in the hand with a fork.
yeah. Yeah. What is this pain?
All right, what
Yeah.
else though?
So I need. Chris was there with me when I bought it.
Oh yeah.
That one Cthulhu-ish
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
game. Like I need to just put that on the table.
Which one is that? Oh,
Yeah.
the
That-
I don't
that's-
remember what it's called.
It's a no prep game.
Oh,
right?
gotcha.
Yeah. No prep. Don't remember what it's called. I'm pretty sure I do know where it is though.
Step
in
one.
your room somewhere.
It's on a shelf. I like.
Oh, okay.
That's an important purchase. I didn't just like toss that in the corner.
That's right. You got like
Alright.
one of the limited editions
Yeah.
or something, didn't you?
Yeah. They buttered me up and talked me into it.
Yeah.
Good job, sales team.
They were like,
Exactly.
for $250, you could be an executive producer of this game and have your name written in the book.
Associate producer. Okay? Honorary associate producer.
Take my money.
Even though one person backed out, but I did get an early copy of the game.
Nice.
So
Yeah.
funny story about that is I knew reviewers that got some of those prototypes, and then the company's like, we forgot we were supposed to send those out to some of our people. Can you send us that copy back?
Ooh, sorry,
Uh-oh.
reviewer. That's why my copy was open.
That's a big whoopsie. So do we have board
we
games?
should
Or we
review
gonna
that
talk about
game
that
to.
too?
No, I was just
Yeah,
Yeah.
we should review that game just to like get it out there. Hey, yeah.
Really? I got a huge stack over there of games that need to get done first.
Yes, but that box takes up less floor space than my tablet there.
Sure.
Not an iPad. Apple products. I need to play that one. Star Trek, obviously, I just want to put it back on the table again with all the source books and bring in a nice cohesive.
You know, we have this podcast that you could run. You know, we could play the same characters even.
I'm gonna throw stuff at you.
I'm just saying.
Oh, yes, that also involves me like
Prepping.
Doing work.
and like
That's the universal rules. Philip does not prep for podcasts.
not just watching The West Wing for the 20th time.
Why don't
good
you just
show.
turn that West Wing into a Star Trek adventure?
I could,
Boom.
Don't
Done.
tell me. I'll do it.
We should
we-
all just go watch To Kill a Mockingbird together and then podcast about it.
Tequila Mockingbird or
Tequila
I'm about that one
Yep.
too. We can start that one. What else? I mean, what was the question? Favorite games characters to play. All right, there we go.
The question was, what RPGs are you trying to play?
Oh, I mean, like,
You moved on to the next question,
I did,
Phil.
apparently.
You sneaky.
Well, I
Well,
mean, like,
it was a generic.
it's there.
It was a topic starter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
love playing D&D. Like especially with this group of wild animals around the table here. The Star Wars, or if we ever do like some Genesis, pull some stuff in. I'd really like to do a Battlestar Galactica.
Yo.
Mm.
How would you do us not knowing that we're Cylons?
Oh,
That would be cool.
oh,
That would
that's
be
right,
fun.
because there were a couple sleepers in the fleet.
Yeah.
Oh, you just
Yeah.
randomly roll and then just don't tell them until like, by the way,
Or
everybody flip this card over
Yeah.
secretly.
or we play with 6 characters and the DM rolls and then tells us later that you're a Cylon. What's everyone going to do about it?
Mhm.
Throw you out an airlock.
Chris has
Speaking of
practice
which,
with that.
We have experience with that. yeah.
Speaking of which, I actually that reminds that only because it has battle in the front. I actually want to play Battle Tech at some point.
Like the mech game.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, that would be cool.
I honestly, I want to play that just because of how complicated the character sheet looks. All right, that's what I
yeah.
want.
They came out.
Into.
They came out with a new version, but I still have some of the. I have the book from the previous Catalyst version.
Is that
and it's in.
I assume that's a pretty crunchy game.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's also one of those that like character creation like goes through your life to develop the mechanical stats. It's
Oh,
like
wow.
what school did you go to? What, did this. It doesn't like sections of time and those translate to building your skills on your sheet.
Okay. Yeah.
Kind of like how L5R does. Hey,
Yeah.
by the way, one of the other games I want to play. And the problem is nobody there's only like Mike's like the only person in our group that like
Knows anything
well,
about feudal
not-
Japan.
no, it was more of has expressed any interest in wanting to play L5R. Everybody else is just kind of like, maybe.
It was fun. I just feel like I don't know enough about
Yeah.
feudal Japan
Yeah.
to like make the respect and honor system make sense.
Yeah.
So I'd have to like watch
Plus, I've
Mulan
never
12
respected
times.
honor.
Yeah.
So you don't want to play. In other words, you don't want to play a game where you actually have to be nice to people.
Well, no, that's not the same as
Well,
honor.
Says
Hang
the
on.
guy who plays a chaotic good character in every game we've ever played,
I mean, lawful good.
or lawful
Lawful
good.
good.
Yeah. Yep.
It wouldn't help you to watch Mulan.
because she's shirking.
Well, because that was China.
Oh, touche.
What,
But
did
it's
she
still
say that?
feudal. I did say I'll watch Mulan 10 times. I might just want to watch Mulan a couple times. guys.
You guys.
They're making a live action version.
Yeah, it's gonna be dope.
Okay.
Who are they going to get to play? If they don't
Shang.
have Eddie Murphy play the dragon, then screw
You're
that
out.
movie.
Live
Yeah.
action Eddie
Oh,
Murphy as a
yes.
dragon.
Yep.
Well,
Come
I mean,
out,
they
come
could,
out
like,
with a cane.
CGI his face on it. Like,
CGI
They just
his
make
face.
him red, just like they did with Will Smith.
which, like,
and
everyone
they'll
gives
have-
that crap, and it's like, it's a trailer. Chill out. You're not watching it on a 8K
Whoa, 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 whoa,
IMAX
whoa, whoa.
screen, okay?
You don't understand why the internet is upset about something?
Well, because the internet's stupid.
You're
Yeah.
stupid.
Hey, you watch it with my internet.
Yeah. His shoulders do look. It's just strange to see Will Smith with that many muscles.
For me, it was seeing, because well, maybe like when they put legs on him, because sometimes the genie was like, kind of plump.
Yeah.
Will Smith's not very plump. He's a little more fit than I am.
I love that you turned that into an onomatopoeia.
Flump. Flump. I wish I had like a little gif I could like. Flump.
Well, you could make one if this is recording.
Yes,
But not for
but
the live
not,
show.
Yeah,
not,
for the live show.
not right now. I literally
Not on
cannot
the fly.
On the fly.
Dang.
Got to work on that, Chris.
Yeah.
Apparently,
Get
I
on
need on the
Photoshop.
fly onomatopoeia generator.
Well, no, because we need to be like live to tape is what we need to be. 30-second delay.
Maybe
That way we
it
can
be a delay
Hurry,
like the
hurry,
Super
hurry.
Bowl. Yeah.
Exactly,
Right.
exactly.
In case
That way-
Chris, in case Chris has a wardrobe malfunction.
Yeah, in case one of Chris, his nipples pops out.
That's
on live
It's
camera.
more like if Philip has.
In case I pop off at the mouth.
I was gonna say in case Philip does a flop.
Yeah.
I'm gonna need that soundbite. Flump.
It's gonna be what happens
It's
whenever
gonna be your
tech-
new ringtone.
I get a text. Yeah.
Flump.
Oh, Phil's calling.
So speaking of sounds,
Okay.
you know what makes a nice sound? Dice hitting the table.
Oh,
Easy roller
This
dice.
is what I'm throwing in the ad for
Easy
Easy
roller
Roller Dice.
dice.
All right.
They make sounds.
When you hit the table,
When you
yeah.
hit the
I got
table.
those sweet with the copper rose gold. I don't know. I like them.
I think you
Corey,
got
what
the
do you like
copper.
about your Easy Roller Dice?
They're heavy and they feel nice when you roll them.
Are they easy to roll?
Oh, definitely. Actually, I feel like you might work a little harder because they're a little bit heavier than like a plastic.
But you
die.
get your workout while you're
Mm.
playing games.
That's
It
right.
feels nice.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Weighted dice for muscle building.
Yeah. Fine dexterity in the fingers.
That's right.
Well, maybe like subconsciously it could add more of a
It just feels weightier.
yeah,
Like
like
luxurious.
I mean that's a little.
You'll
bit
never
of a
want to
pun.
go back to puny dice. And
No,
you're like,
really.
"Bruh."
Like,
These
it's a
dice are
it's
so
a little,
light.
It's a little bit of a pun because they're metal dice, but
Yeah.
it's like, all right, saving throw, and you pick up like that D20's got a little bit of heft to it.
Yeah, man.
All right, there we go, and I'm dead.
All of your rolls, all of your rolls have a bit more gravity to it. Well, no, they have the exact same amount of gravity, but you know what I'm saying.
No.
When we're playing on my
Yeah.
on my gaming table, that is the screen in the middle. I cringe every time you guys throw your dice.
That's
So-
why I bring the tub.
No, you do it in you
Yep.
do it in the bin. It's all good. It's all good
Yeah.
there. I do
Oh.
find that I kind of fidget with them all
Yeah,
the time, right?
definitely.
Oh, I totally especially like I'll take just like because I have 2 D20s because I accidentally got 2, and so like I'll just sit there just like shake them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, accident. Well, no, they didn't send me a D8.
And so, yeah.
Like my set had 2 D20s and no D8.
And you were like, I don't mind.
Perfectly natural for a growing boy.
What's your favorite part?
My favorite part is the fact that I'm allergic to them.
Really?
Oh, nice.
You're allergic to the dice.
Wait, is that
Well,
true?
Not well. So I have a
Nickel allergy?
skin nickel allergy, and I don't
Ah.
notice it for the most part. Yeah, I've made the jokes. I don't notice it for the most part, but the one time I have noticed it is when I played Cypher System for like 6 hours straight. And by the end of it, I was like, I need to switch dice because like I'm starting to taste it, and
Oh, no.
like my mouth is just tasting metally, and
Yeah.
Well, first get them out of your mouth.
yeah.
Aren't they making a
Easy
new
roller
set?
dice, not edible.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like I
maybe-
imagine that copper might be easier.
Yeah, I was about to say maybe those
Yeah.
might not.
Yeah, I don't
It's
know.
just
The other
hard.
ones just look so pretty.
Yeah.
Hyperallergenic.
It will hurt how much you love them.
Like, I
Easy
don't break-
roller dice.
I don't break out like when I'm rolling my
Yeah.
dice. That's not an issue. It was just like I said, the only time I ever really noticed is again
6
after playing
hours.
like 6-7 hours straight.
break
you know.
out from the norm. Easy roller dice.
So we drifted into another
Oh,
topic.
Wait, I have a really
Uh-oh.
good joke.
Okay.
Go for it.
Hypoallergenic, shockingly good. Everyone laughed.
I-
That was great.
I don't know how that's a joke.
What were we advertising?
Because you're
Easy
going
roller
in,
dice.
you're having an allergic reaction, which is a hypoallergenic shock.
Yep.
And then I said
Yep.
they're shockingly good.
Shockingly
Oh.
It was
good.
to play off of
Easy roller dice.
Jimmy's breakout joke.
All right,
I loved it.
Corey, if
I loved it. And I
you
love
have
you.
to explain the
I'm leaving,
joke.
I'm leaving. Goodbye. My joke was great, and I hope everyone in the comments agrees.
That
Yep.
joke was great. The rest of you guys suck.
Yeah. Anyway, continue.
So I figured we should have like a nice topic that we could talk
Mm.
about again, roundtable style discussion. And just one of the things that I thought of, this is where normally we could have guest questions or listener questions,
Mm.
but just to kick off the episodes, talking about how do I get my players to role play? You know, like you a lot of times, especially if you're playing with newer players, you get that person that's just like reading off the sheet, like you're describing this big thing, and they're like, I roll a die, or I hit the guy.
Right.
And then everyone's looking at you like, why don't you do that super awesome power?
And to be clear, that's fine if that's how you want to play and if that's
And
how
it's
you're
sure,
having
but-
fun. But
And if the person's fine with that, that's one thing. But there
Right.
maybe is like your
They
group,
just don't know how.
they just don't know how.
right,
And that's where we're coming. That's the kind of thing where what can you do to help ease your players or make it less cumbersome
Right.
to get into kind of character.
Right.
So I think Philip should start us off here.
Well, I have
Because Philip's been this guy.
I have firsthand experience. I mean, with the 4 people in this room. I mean, that
Right.
was Chris brought me into the game group, and so when Chris was talking about I hit the guy, we're playing 4th edition, and 4th edition has all those like powers, like encounter powers, daily encounters, cantrips, basically.
Yeah.
And it was like, I'm just gonna hit the guy in the face with my axe. And if there was a record, the needle would have skipped because everyone stopped. And like,
Yep.
that's all you're gonna do.
It's not how you play 4th
That's
edition.
not how this game works.
You have to
So
use a special
actually,
move.
You
Yeah.
were role playing very well. It just wasn't
Yeah.
working within the game.
With that game, and then when I actually I wasn't role playing well at all because Chris took me outside. He gave me this awesome backstory, and I was like, and I turned it over to Chris. He's gonna tell you who I am. Yeah, so that's how that went. But I mean, even on that day, I got a little more comfortable. But then when we started our 5th edition, and it was all so my answer to the whole role playing and like talking and giving backstory and all that stuff, my character couldn't because my character had no tongue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was
Couldn't
this.
speak. He
so-
was mute.
So backstory to this is that like, but while we were getting into, because it was like, oh yeah, we're gonna do 5th edition. We're gonna like get a lot more in depth on our characters and like role playing, and everyone's gonna have like all these things. Philip's texting me like, I don't know if I can do this. Like he's
Right.
like, I don't know if I'm gonna play because I don't know if I can be that. And then finally one day he's like, "Ooh, I got it! My character can't speak. I can't answer questions about my backstory if my character can't talk."
Yep.
There we go.
right.
And then what? Like 2 months in, we
maybe-
got telepathy.
Yeah.
And then you had a British accent.
And then I did. I had a very angry British, Scottish, Irish. It rotated
Oh yeah.
through the island of accents, which
Most of our accents do.
most of them do. Yeah. We also we got some Georgian Australians every once in a while. We rotate through that one. But yeah, it came in, and so like being able to just becoming comfortable with the group. I would say one of the biggest things, like, how do I get my players to role play? Don't force it.
Yeah.
Right.
It's gotta happen naturally, or you can just shove them out of an airlock and
Yeah.
So while I agree, don't force it. You can assist it, right? So
Yes.
one thing that I've done in the past is when you get a player who's kind of shy at the table. First thing, you were absolutely right. Make them feel comfortable at the table, right? So nothing they say is bad. Hey, they want to approach it that direction. We'll do the dice roll. If that's how you want to do it, let's do it, right? And bringing them into the sense of the community of the group to where you're playing off each other's skills and how you're working together makes a huge difference in kind of how to bring somebody in and how to make them feel comfortable to sit there and to say things that they would normally say, it's going to be dumb. I don't want to do that. No, dumb is good. Let's do dumb, right? Because dumb makes great stories.
dumb was our first encounter.
Yeah.
I mean, that was like like role playing is not just talking. It's role playing, getting into the mindset of your character.
That's what
I
that
know.
means.
See,
How
I
meta.
thought it meant like rolling dice.
it does that too. But just getting into the mindset of your character. We're all at the top of this hill looking over this town. It's being smoke and flames, and there's a dragon circling around, and everyone else is just, well, I mean, what's my character's motivation? I don't really know it. And I look over at Chris. I'm like, I'm just gonna draw my axes and run down the hill toward the town. And he's like,
Good.
let me go ahead, do it, man. Just do it.
Yeah.
These guys have been five minutes dicking around. Let's
Oh,
do
yeah.
this.
And you
Well, even
you
s-
Leroy Jenkins your way in there, and the rest of the team were like, oh, where the hell's he going? We should follow him.
And true to character, my character hung back and just walked straight, like, oh, I'll give my axe or my my bow out,
Daggers.
but I'm not really feeling this.
Exactly.
Yeah, so as far as assisting the character, though, if you're sitting there as the GM, you are the god in this universe, right? So you can make those, anything you can and say influences the story, kind of any way you want to. You can share some of that power. And what you want to do is get them comfortable sharing some of that power. So often, if they're not really comfortable talking in front of people and they say, hey, I'm going to go hit that guy with my sword, then I'll say, okay, roll your damage. Great. You hit the guy with your sword, you slash him across the belly, you open up a wound, right? Now he's, shifting back, and you get paint the picture in their mind of kind of what's going on. And then you do that a couple of times, so they kind of get used to how it's going. And then you turn it over and you say, well, all right,
What's that look like?
what happened, right? You attacked, you did an overhand hit, and I got him right in the shoulder. He stumbled back and then fell over the cliff.
Right.
Fantastic, right? That's exactly what we were looking for.
Yep.
No, my axe.
Yeah. And when they get better and they start to annoy you, then you do stuff like that, right? Good job. You did a great job. Your axe went with him.
No,
Oops.
but then you basically gave me Mjolnir, so I was like, oh,
Yeah.
I call it back.
Yeah, I was gonna go on the same line. It's getting them to kind of like when they say stuff like "I attacked the guy." I'm like, okay, well, how?
Yeah.
Like, are you swing? All right. What's it look like? What's it? What sound does the axe make when it hits the guy? Are you swinging in with like a lateral blow? Or are you coming down over top?
Another thing I like to do is I like to give my characters magical weapons.
Yeah.
A lot of people or a lot of GMs don't like doing that because they can get overpowered real quick. But if you're smart about how you do it and you choose the weapons appropriately, not only does it engage them because they're hitting more often, but you can also give them narrative effects. Like, for instance, I had a sword that had sentience, right?
Yes.
And
And-
wanted you to be evil.
And it worried only about preserving itself, and I would have to occasionally wrestle with the sword on who had control over my next roll, right?
Yep.
And so I ended up sharing some of those rolls with the GM as and so Chris's character
did-
just lost control.
Didn't John, like another player, had control.
Yep,
Or they role played the sword at one
Yeah.
point.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we shared that, right? And that helps the narrative style of everybody's like, oh, okay, well, hold on. This isn't necessarily going to be pure good. There can be some bad to this.
Yep.
And to be honest, it's one of the reasons why I really like the Star Wars campaign is because you can succeed and have bad things happen,
Yeah.
right? Or you can fail and have good things happen.
Or you can have a tremendously good thing and a tremendously bad thing happen.
Yes,
Oh,
ve-
yes.
very true, very true. And anybody who plays D&D to win is probably doing it wrong. And I say that because I'm
Aw,
probably the most guilty person to do it. So this is a collective story
Right.
that you're telling, and that's the most important part. So
Yep.
bringing the elements that everybody enjoys on the table and throwing that all on the table and getting everybody to kind of piece it together into something that's memorable, that's the goal.
And a note to take from you being a power gamer is that not only do you make your characters the most powerful they can be, you always take a step back and go like, okay, yeah, well, this guy's really powerful, but what can I make weak about my guy?
Yeah.
Oh, he has a sword that makes him evil.
I
or-
did not start out that way.
But-
And it broke a couple of games,
Yeah.
right? That was the problem.
Says the guy who texted me last night, like, "Hey, can I be a blood hunter in our next D&D
Did you
game?"
read through it, though?
I have not had a chance to.
Matt Mercer made that
I
character.
did. That was the only reason I
Yeah.
considered it.
Yeah.
Is because Matt Mercer was the one that worked on it.
But I looked at it and I was like, okay, I mean, none of this stuff stands out as something that's going
Yeah.
to be
OP.
ultra powerful in any way. And it narratively would kind of fit with the dark theme we were going down. So I don't know. I considered it that way. But I went to the GM
Yeah.
and I asked the GM, hey, is this something that you're cool with, playing a non-standard character class?
But I will say, when you were talking about the narrative with like the story of like the sword and stuff, it reminded me of Predation, because in Predation, which is a cipher system where you play as time travelers from the future that get stuck in prehistoric times,
Oh.
everyone has a dinosaur pet, which
Pretty
is
cool.
played by another character. So like there's
Okay.
like you have two character sheets, but like it's you and your pet, which is controlled by another player at the table.
We played that at your house, but you weren't there.
Yeah.
He
That's
was
bravo.
upstairs. He was upstairs with me. And
Gotcha.
Mike.
Yeah, that's right. That was when we were doing our GM prep games,
Gotcha.
where he and I think Chris and Mike were helping Phil get ready for his Star Trek games.
Yeah.
Because
That
that was
makes
your
sense.
first time GMing,
That was my first time
Yep.
GMing.
and everybody else was downstairs running the Predation game
Makes
that I
sense.
was running.
And let me tell you, that was a great time GMing at Gen Con because so each game was broken into 3 acts, roughly hour-long acts. Yeah, everything that was prepped got thrown out by Act 2.
Oh no.
Welcome to GMing.
Right? It was
Yeah.
Act 1 went smooth, and then like somebody says something or does something, and it was like, well, that's all gone.
Yep.
That's usually
Going by the fly.
That's usually the best part. Like at the last Gen Con, I GM'd a Numenera game, and we were going from we were transitioning. It was a transition scene, and I just needed something to something to happen to get them from point A to point B. And somebody it was like a GM intrusion. They fell into a hole, like a big pit.
Yeah.
But we spent an hour on this pit because it just became this thing. Like
that became the game.
People kept falling into the hole. Like stuff was coming out of it. Like there was like snakes and stuff coming out of it. Like the whole an hour of this game, I'm not kidding, was centered around this pit for various reasons. At one point, these people came and attacked them from top, so the people jumped into the hole.
Yeah. You can often tell the difference between a good experienced GM and a new GM by how much stuff they've prepped. So when I first started, I wrote everything down, right? And it was great because I had these awesome epic story sequences and whatever else. And I would have, 20 pages of content, and then you guys would run off to Elfmart or something, right? And so I'd have to make everything up by the fly.
No, we don't want to go to there. We want to go to that hangar over there.
I have no idea how often that happens. But a good GM will have, a page with a couple of bullet points of these are the things that need to notionally happen in order to proceed with the story.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else is filled in, right? Everything else is fluff.
Yeah.
So you can make it up however you want. Now, it's
circle back.
It's good to have a scribe,
Yeah.
especially if you have long breaks, right? So
Yeah.
that you remember what happened last time to have some kind of story cohesiveness.
Yep.
But the story, like these books for D&D are fantastic because they build the world for you.
And you can take as much or as little as you want.
You can.
Yeah.
If you have a really experienced group that knows all the information and all the background and whatnot, you have a fantastic world to play in. If you don't, right, you have a group of people who've never really played D&D before, that's okay. They don't need to know the details of all of that stuff in order to have a good game.
Yeah.
But sometimes you do as the GM. And that's one of the tips I've actually been reading. Like, I'm reading a book I kickstarted a couple years ago that I'm just now getting around to actually reading. And it's called How to Write Adventures That Don't Suck.
Yeah.
Nice.
And there was a thing talking about context. And there's a lot of descriptions where whereas understanding that your players may not get to everything, but it helps you contextualize this encounter where it's like, instead of just like one of the examples is instead of having 50 goblins that they all have to run through, okay, maybe it's 30 goblins, but they're being controlled by 4 ogres, and then that's being controlled by an undead lich that's, and these goblins are just minions that are being oppressed by this. It helps you give context to where ultimately that doesn't matter. It's not going to affect the player's view. It makes it more real.
But the characters might
But
end up having a moral quandary because they're killing goblins that weren't really wanting to hurt you.
And some of that stuff is the best character role
Building.
playing,
Yeah.
right? So if you build a world that's, I don't know, detailed enough, or at least have a high enough bullshit score to be able to make it up on the fly, right? You can bring some of those elements
Nuances.
so how are your characters going to feel about this, right? If Jimmy's playing the lawful good character, right, and you need to go
Classic.
beat up a guy for his bookie, right? That's the option that your team chose in order to make some money. They need to go beat up this guy who's trying to save his money for his family.
Oh no.
Suddenly now you have characters who are like, wait a minute, hold on, I don't feel comfortable with this anymore.
That sounds really familiar.
Yeah, it does, because it just happened.
Yeah, I know.
Yep. Or if you want to go beat up Volo because he's a butthead.
I
Volo.
love nuanced no-win solutions.
Yeah.
I
Right.
do. Because
That's why The Witcher's so great.
it forces the characters to think outside the box, and it forces the characters to really kind of put forward, hey, these are the things that we want to accomplish, but some are going to weigh more than others, right? And we got to figure out from a party's perspective, do we want to end up as the good guys or the bad guys? Or if we're going to walk the gray line, that's fine, but how far's too far?
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
So Jimmy, getting back to the original point of getting players,
Role-playing.
we diverged a little bit, but that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
What's your thoughts on getting players to role play? Although it might be a little bit easier for, like we've talked about in the past, kind of your theater related backgrounds.
Silly voices.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
I think the people's theater backgrounds just relates to a comfort level, which
Right.
we've already touched on.
Yeah.
And comfort definitely helps. And I think we also touched on allowing people to describe their actions as opposed to outright like speaking as their character. I think that's a really good baby step into role-playing, is having people just describe what they're doing or the gist of what they're saying as opposed to actually giving dialogue. One thing that I've found really helps me get into a world and immerse me is doing like small writing exercises in between each session. You can sort of write about what your characters are doing in the downtime, or perhaps their origin story, or how they came to be a part of the party, or how they met another character that is in the party, which is another thing. I think it helps for your party to start out already knowing each other. You know, that can be a whole nother podcast about the session 0, but it definitely helps if your party isn't a group of people who have no reason to like each other or no reason to be doing the same thing. It definitely helps for them to be either friends or part of the same organization or whatever.
Locked in the same prison cell.
Especially if you have one character who is just completely different. Like your character who likes to walk away from stuff all the time, Sarav, who was just like a rogue who wanted to, you just killed a lot of people.
Yep.
And everyone else was not quite on that wavelength. And I feel like you need to have a reason why everyone keeps Sarav around. I think for our game, it was that Sarav just keeps coming back.
And it was funny because, like,
oh, this guy's still here.
As I ended up going back and writing kind of like the story so I could remember what happened, and I started scribing what was going on. It was funny because I actually made a reason why Sarav would have attacked the dragon, because I made it sound like the city where they were in, people were starting to notice their wallets getting lighter. And so it was like, dragon in front of me, lynch mob behind me. The dragon's probably going to be the quicker death, so I'm going to go with that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, so if you've got a player that doesn't feel like they can either connect to their character or just doesn't feel comfortable role-playing, I would encourage them to maybe tell them to try keeping a diary as that character or something. I remember when we were playing the Horde of Dragons or Tyranny of Dragons campaign, I was writing the summaries for every one of our sessions. I considered at one point writing it in my character's voice, but then I was like, oh, that's going to be a lot of work.
I do that, but it always just sounds like me.
Right.
I can't differentiate my character voices enough between different characters.
Yeah.
Right.
At least writing,
except for the
for
one
writing style.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
Yeah.
speaking is one thing.
if you were writing as the one who left cookies in all the random places, I feel like that might be a
Scratch.
little different than you.
Yeah. But we did that for one of our Star Wars campaigns for a while. I think, the one with Kale and.
So speaking of writing exercises, that's a good transition into the final, the third segment I wanted to do.
Can I cut 1 second though to pop a thing down? When you were talking about special weapons, I recently came across a weapon called the Bailiff's Hammer, which
nice.
I think is so freaking cool. If you get a nat 20 when you hit someone with this hammer, there's a wisdom save, and if the person doesn't save, they are compelled to tell a secret.
Oh,
And
like
I just
that.
feel like
Yeah.
it could be so much fun. So stupid little stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
I think
Could be a good interrogating thing. Like,
Yeah.
just beat up the
Until
guy.
you roll a nat 20.
Until you roll a nat 20.
and you just don't hit them hard with the hammer. You just like
Dink.
dink. You will eventually tell me your secrets.
for anybody out there who has not played D&D, this story, all of the memorable components are there in critical successes and critical failures, right?
Yep.
They come at the weirdest times,
Yep.
and sometimes they're hard to really figure out, hey, what really happens. But man, if you're creative with some of your responses and answers to that, you can have some amazing storytelling.
Well, my Dragonborn had 2 in a row. I tried to like cast the Dragon's Breath, and then it was like, oh, nat 1. I barf. Right in the middle of this battle, just right there. And then the next critical failure was, I slip in my barf.
Oh man, bad day.
That was good times.
Yeah, we had one instance to where Randy and Mike were playing with us, and they looked back and found like a loose brick, and they pulled it out, and inside there was a wolf cloak, right?
Oh, yeah,
and they
yeah.
and they put on this wolf cloak, and I think Randy was the guy who found it, and Mike came in and was like, "Hey, you're stealing stuff." And then he rolled perception to see whether or not he saw that, whether or not he noticed that, whether or not Randy's character had that wolf cloak before.
Right.
He crit failed. So from that point on through the rest of the game, he was the most vehement supporter that Randy has always had that wolf cloak forever and ever. He remembers it every time he's looked at him, right? So
That's
the rest
where
of the,
that came from, because I
Yep.
came in after
Yep,
that.
yep,
So
yep,
it was
yep.
like I just kept hearing there was this thing about this wolf cloak.
Yep. So that's where the whole wolf cloak meme thing came from in our group, was from a crit fail that
Yeah.
happened in our game, right?
So don't be afraid to make the crit fails and the crit successes really big.
Oh yeah.
My crit fail on stealth and my new character flaw of I have this unbridled hatred for squirrels.
Oh my gosh, that
that's
was
true.
so good.
That became a thing.
That
Like,
was
was
quite the thing.
And then because I had the critical success on the caravan and brought in like that horde of squirrels
Squirrels.
as a distraction.
like
And
it
then-
even became on the podcast. Like you were a were-squirrel.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
And as the GM for that game, it was beautiful because anytime you guys like were really off on a side tangent and weren't trying to go somewhere, I'd be like, Phil, oh, squirrel
a
just
squirrel."
ran by. Bing, bing.
Back online.
And one more note, really quick, for helping with character development. If you're the GM and you have a new person who really doesn't know what they want to do with a character, ask them to think about what their favorite characters are from books or TV shows or movies. And if they have someone like, we really liked Sense8. And
Yep.
so we went into a new Star Wars game and I was Leto.
Yep.
Who just, so good, so sexy, such
Yes.
a beautiful man.
You've used that voice ever since.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so beautiful.
So
Even at home.
All the time.
hey,
Wink,
we
wink.
don't need
Hey,
to.
hey,
But
hey,
it's such an easy way to create a character because you're essentially just mimicking someone who you already know at least a little bit and have seen some of their character quirks. And character quirks are what really give you motivation. Also,
Yeah.
make sure you know what your character wants. Because if you're going in and you don't have a motivation to be there, you're going to get confused.
Yeah.
I'd say those are my two things. What's your next question?
So no, I was gonna say one of the things I thought would be cool to do on these shows is I'm kind of tentatively calling the segment character building.
Okay.
And that is there is an awesome book that was written by Mr. James D'Amato.
Mm-hmm.
It's called The Ultimate RPG Character Backstory Guide.
I've read it.
Mm.
So
Yes, I've skimmed it.
I've picked out a exercise from here,
Cool.
and I thought we'd go through it.
I love this idea.
Speci-
Begin.
Specifically, so we are prepping for a new D&D game.
Yes.
So I want you to work on this as if it was your new D&D character.
Ooh, okay.
You don't have to, not everything has to 100%, but...
Okay.
So just think of, whatever. So, for instance, you don't have to tell me exactly what you're thinking, but just, the general idea of the character that you're thinking of.
Okay.
For this new game, which we're going to play. It's set in the world of Ravnica, which is based in Magic the Gathering. But so, Philip, what are you thinking about in this kind of game?
My guy is a sneaky fast talker.
Okay.
That's
So like a billionaire,
That's
like he would be. All right.
I don't know. He's more of a what? So I guess we need a little bit of backstory. So we all decided what on House Demir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're doing espionage, subtle behind the scene type
Yeah.
stuff. So I've got a
Group of spies.
group. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna be a
You're
group
a
of
little
spies.
conclave.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so
Conclave.
that was my. So I'll have to be able to
Everybody has to pick
Oh,
color.
Is there a
if we
difference
need to,
between an enclave and a conclave?
more than likely,
Oh.
if we have to steal corporate secrets or something, I'm gonna be able to slip into a door. But then if I get caught, no, I belong here. I totally belong here. I'm just here,
I'm checking the
making
doors.
sure- Exactly. Yeah. Your security sucks, by the way. Okay. Just
All right, Chris. What are you kind of thinking for this?
So I made 3 characters. It's a matter of figuring out, I guess, which one the team best benefited the team. I guess the primary one that I had was kind of a socially awkward shadow sorcerer.
Okay.
So it was using one of the new rules in Xanthar, I think. There was that one, and then there was since we were going with the whole shadow theme, there was so the blood guy.
The Blood Hunter.
Yeah, the blood hunter we were looking at. And then the last one was a school of shadow for the people who play instruments.
Bards.
Bard. There you go. There you go.
All right.
Funnily enough, I was also thinking of a fast-talking person, con artist type
Yeah.
person. probably a warlock who probably became a warlock when he got himself into like some deep water with the wrong people, and he was like, "Oh man, I need some magic or else I'm gonna die."
And he made a pact with the wrong
He made a pact
people.
with the wrong people, specifically demons or whoever it may be, and got magic, and is just like this con artist who now has magic, which is a bad recipe. But also works for House Demir, I guess. Yeah, and his name was going to be like Vincent
Van
Manbrake or something.
Nice.
Vincent Von.
No relation to
Vincent
Visker Van Drake of the noble House Warlocks.
Vincent Von Price.
Von Price, yes.
Vincent Von Shadow.
Von Shadow.
So
All right, Corey.
I was thinking of being a face character that is specifically attuned to deception, and my brain was thinking like, when I'm talking to people, I'm very much a Starfire, but the second I'm off the stage, I'm very much a Raven.
All right.
Who
Nice.
somebody was talking like cleric-ish, like
That was me,
okay.
Trickery Cleric.
Gotcha.
So I'll have to play with it. I do think Trickery Clerics are pretty okay with deception.
I think it's clear whoever's making, well, Chris, you're making the campaign for this, but we're kind of squishy.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, keep going.
So no, that was pretty much all that I
Also,
I've got.
probably strength is not our main stat.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Strength is the dumb
I feel
stat.
like this is gonna be
Charisma is the buff stat.
who is Solid Snake from? What are those games?
Metal Gear Solid.
Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah, very much like hiding behind boxes the whole time.
Which could be great.
Yeah.
Maybe I should play that Blood Hunter just so you have
Yeah.
a melee character in
Which,
there.
Yeah.
well, not just hiding behind boxes. Just we're in the middle of an open field. There's nothing. There's a box. We're hidden.
Ooh, I'll be a druid and wild shape into a box.
Oh my god, yes.
All right, so the specific thing that I have picked guide for us to go into is it's called 5 Things You Packed But Shouldn't Have.
Oh.
And so this is like, you know, whenever you are like going through a like remember when imagine we've all been to school and you have a backpack and you'd like empty it out and there'd always be like a couple of things that were in your backpack but you really had no reason, you didn't have a good reason why they were in there, like you didn't need it but they always ended up in your bag.
A whole pack of pencils.
Yeah. Or just like some trinket, you know. So here's a couple of things I want you to think about in terms of these characters that you're coming up. So here's the first one. Growing up, you were taught that a specific item was important to your identity. On the road, you have found very little use for it. Every time you see it among your belongings, you make an excuse to keep it, though each time these excuses are harder to find.
Oof.
What is this item and where did you get it?
Oh,
Interesting.
gosh.
Bear mace.
Bear mace.
Shark repellent, right?
Shark repellent in the middle of Sahara.
I feel like mine might be like an actual mace or a weapon because
Mm.
maybe I grew up with a fighter family that was like, yo, you always got to have
There you
plan
go.
B. But I don't need
Right.
plan B. I'm not made for plan
Anyone who watches NCIS, rule number 9 is always carry a knife.
There you go.
Yeah, I feel like it'll be like some kind of family seal or something that
Ooh.
is supposed to
Like a
B.
ring?
An elephant seal?
Oh yeah.
A harp
Ar-
seal?
ar- ar-
Yeah, yeah, my family,
Seal of
sigil is
approval.
the
The
elephant seal.
Oh.
Would it be like a ring that
Um,
you'd like?
Yeah, it could be like a signet ring or something.
Yeah, that's what I was
and,
thinking, signet ring.
I came from, power and wealth or whatever,
He's
but,
the
like,
millennial character.
but Daddy wanted me to make my own money, and I was like, whatever, Daddy.
Daddy.
Can you buy me the
And,
printing press? Gosh.
And I was like, I've never worked for anything in my life, so I'm just gonna go cheat people out of their money. So
Why don't you just work at your dad's company?
yeah, seriously. Well, my dad wouldn't let me like inherit his company without getting my own money first.
Loathsome.
I know.
All right.
You want we should kill him for you?
So anyway,
Phil-
the
So,
ring.
Philip, have you thought of something? Random?
Yeah, bear mace.
So, no.
Could be a bag of spices.
No, I was
Like
I was just like a random crystal decanter.
Okay.
Or
Yeah.
not really decanter, more large vial.
Okay, and
There
it
we go.
has like wine that you save for a special occasion.
No, it's empty.
It's empty.
It's empty.
You already drank the wine from the special occasion.
No, got it empty.
It's all down from here.
It's been empty the
Yeah.
whole time. But yeah, just can't throw it away.
It was expensive.
What you got, Chris?
Say a bracelet that I stole from my mother.
Ooh.
But yeah, so
It was important to your identity.
yeah, so my mother, I guess my mother was not the best of mothers, and she used to beat her children, and I managed to escape with probably with a younger brother or younger sister, and on the road we got separated somehow. But I still have the bracelet I stole from my mother. I really should just get rid of it and leave that part of my life behind, but I can't bring myself to do it.
No therapy.
Well, it brings the outfit together.
Darkness.
Yeah.
All right.
No parents.
Money kind of helps.
Money
Here's-
would help.
Here's the next one. This was part of an old superstition you were taught as a child that has since proven to be untrue.
Oh,
This could be like
Step on
always
crack,
carry a
break
carrot for you never know when you might need to feed somebody. I was just coming something off the cuff, random.
yeah, yeah.
You say that again?
Always carry a carrot.
The
I need to
golden
feed
rule.
somebody.
It's never. I thought it was okay, but it's never worked for me.
It's really only kind of silver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
But you thought the golden rule was just gold, like so you carried like a
Everyone
gold
pay
coin.
me.
I love gold.
I love gold. Hmm.
You thought that a gold coin that if you carried it, then everybody would give you money if you showed it off or something.
Duh. I
Hmm.
treat people the way I want to be treated. Give me money. Let's see.
Always. So in my bag there is a separate small coin purse of coins that I find on the ground that are always heads up.
Ah.
oh,
nice.
cool.
Nice. Okay.
Hmm.
Superstition, huh?
And then I found out that there's
Both sides are the same.
yeah, both sides are the same.
Can you give me like
Damn it.
3 facts about Ravnica?
There's one guild that creates these. Do they call? I think I believe they're called hydropyrics.
Okay.
They are water elementals that have like a burning fire heart.
Mm.
So they're friendly.
No. Well, I mean
I thought all elementals were friendly.
They're all friendly.
They're mindless. They do what they're told, but
Okay.
it's fire because like
That's
I think
cool.
they can like shove a stick in there and light it on fire inside of water.
That
That's
was
cool.
an example of another crit fail. Corey now believes her character in D&D now believes that
So I can
all
ta-
elementals are friendly.
Yeah.
I can tell
always.
you one fact. So Ravnica is a giant city. Think like a steampunk Coruscant.
Okay.
So
the
not
whole
like
plane.
the whole plane is
Oh,
just
wow.
a city.
Oh,
Like nobody's like it's one of those you get too far out and people suddenly don't people don't come back kind of. It's no one's explored beyond like a certain distance.
The
You
carbon emissions must be terrible.
But in a city like that, where do you get food? Because there's not a lot of room for agriculture. Well, there's a group that's the it's the Gruul
Oh yeah, we read about them.
Swarm, the Gruul Swarm,
they make
where
gruel.
they make food and bring it, but no one really knows where that food comes from. They just make it.
Interesting.
It's people.
Soylent Green is
Yeah.
people.
Soiling gruel is people.
Yeah. Well, dang, I was gonna say something related to nature, but now that's gone.
Well, there's like
Well,
think
maybe
like parks.
I was gonna say
you think nature used to exist and everyone thinks you're crazy.
I was gonna say like carry some like cutting of a plant with me because there's some superstition that like if you don't always have a cutting of this plant that only grows in your hometown on it, then
You forget what
you've
home is.
you've like officially left home and like it won't be the same when you go back. So you always have to keep the cutting of this plant on it. On
You got a little.
that could still be a thing.
You got
So
a
I
little.
just have this like dead ass plant in my pocket.
Well, you got a little Captain Jack going. I got a John Dad. I got a John Dad.
right? Yeah.
I think my character believes in some sort of superstition where if you don't hug someone before you leave them, then that means they're gonna die before you see them next.
Mm.
So I have to hug all the people I care
Nice.
about before we leave.
Wow. Okay.
I
That's
don't
gonna
care.
make games awkward.
I don't
Yeah,
care.
it's really awkward.
I
Don't
don't-
touch me.
I don't care about
But
many
you'll
people.
die.
I'd like to hope that it's like a semi-pervasive thing.
What if like we have to kill someone?
I just don't hug them. And then they die.
Yeah.
All right,
It's that
here I'll
simple.
skip down to, and we'll do this. This will be our last one.
Okay.
So you purchased this intending to learn how to use it.
Yeah.
You keep putting off that learning experience. Now throwing it away would just be admitting that you will never gain that skill.
It's a
It's a non non-standard Rubik's cube.
Nice.
The one with like
the round one.
or I was yeah, we'll go with like the round or whatever, like the weird spiky ones that they
Yeah.
have too. Yeah,
It's like a puzzle box is like the term.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna say like a book on Lean Six Sigma, but no, no. I think like just like a deck of cards, because the characters always wanted to be one of those street con artists that you know do the I forget what it's-
Monty.
3-card Monty. He's always wanted to do that, and he's always just wanted to learn close-up magic, but like he's always trying to do it, and, like dropping
He took
cards.
the easy way out and learned actual magic.
Yeah. Or he tries to do the 3-card Monty, but he always keeps messing it up. And he like does it too slow, or he forgets which.
That needs to be a distraction now. Like anytime you distract, he's like, "Let me do a card trick for you," and then like fails.
Yep, exactly. Exactly.
I think
Is this your card? No.
stab.
You tell no one. I think mine is a book of another language. Like I keep
Nice.
getting to the first
What
chapter.
language?
I don't know what language are in this.
I mean, you could
We'll
use
pick
the
one.
standard D&D ones if you know.
A book on
I'll
balloon
read through
animals.
this and figure out
There's
what
some
is a
new
helpful one.
races in Ravnica
Ravnica.
that like you could be centaurs
or goblins.
Okay, so
or
I've
goblins.
learned
Or,
the first
elephant
chapter of elephant people. I
Oh,
can't make
yeah.
the elephant noise. Can
Yep.
you do it?
I mean, that was it. You did it.
Soundbite.
Yeah. So first,
Especially with Corey in the background.
yeah, no, it's centaur people. I've learned the first chapter of centaur people stuff. So
Nice.
let's make that in the game.
You can you can ask where the bathroom is and say
Yep.
hello.
Yep.
Porque los dos.
What's your name?
No, and like a curse word. It's got to be
Oh.
like and a curse or
Oh.
like some like dirty slang.
Nice. Yes.
All right, Chris.
She actually took mine. I was going to do a book of a language, but
Oh.
now I got to think about it.
Do you like a book on balloon animals?
A book on blue animals. Are you pulling my cord? Yes,
Whoa,
you
whoa,
are.
whoa!
Okay.
Hey, this is.
Something that's in my backpack that I'm never going to use.
That you wanted to learn.
Wanted to learn. It's a book on how to make friends.
I like it.
You're just constantly pouring over it.
Yep. It's literally made for like children, right?
Yeah.
And I just can't get through the book.
All right. Well, that was
like it.
that. Hey guys, we did it. We got a first topic episode in
That's
the
right.
bag.
Woo. That's
First
right.
topic.
Now, for those of you watching, if there is still anybody watching live, after this is done, we are going to switch into talking more about these Ravnica characters and getting into starting to whittle them down. But in the meantime, thanks everyone for listening, and we will, I believe the way the schedules work, there's going to be 1 or 2 more Blades in the Dark episodes, and then you will hear that Ravnica game starting up soon. If you want to watch it, come back in 2 weeks. We will start session 1 of that.
2 weeks time.
So, in the meantime, thanks for listening, and we will see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.
I realize I'm just going to throw in a thing in there. Oh.
Bye. 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 Bye.
Hi,
Wait, no.
bye.
What is our theme song for this podcast?
Oh.
Oh, for this-
Bye.
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 Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Dude, I still have the
Bye.
I still have the I still have the
The-
clip of us singing
Yeah.
the intro.
Bye.
No, the like hello.
Bye,
Oh,
Sandy.
got it.
Bye. Bye.
Oh, Sandy's
Bye.
listening. Okay, so
Run while you can.
Wait. Wait. I need a break.
oh, you need a break?
Ruh-roh.
I need a break. Talk about me while I'm gone.
All
All right. 5 fun facts
So we have
about
to
Corey.
make characters now, yes? Or talk about what characters we're
Yeah.
going to make?
So
Well, once Corey gets back from the party.
we should probably start with what classes we're ultimately going to have for
Indeed.
this. So one concern that I have
All
with
casters.
us all being this dark, shadowy stuff is we're not going to have a whole lot of diversity.
Right.
Everybody's going to be heavy into stealth or
Well, I have some ideas.
deception.
I have some ideas to throw out there to help on how you can still be in the clan but not be all secret spy guys.
Okay,
So
you going to share those or
I was
Nope.
waiting for
Nope. Sucks to be here.
no? Your intention is to share them tonight.
yes.
Yeah. Okay, that's what I was asking.
Just
I don't
give me
know.
a quick-
Sandra, what kind of character should I play in this one?
You should be a florist, even though I'm not saying that.
Beat people to death with flowers.
Yes.
Dark
No,
flowers.
no. You're
An assassin botanist.
you're a druid. Yeah, you're a druid
Yeah.
who well into nature magic and all that stuff.
I'm poison ivy.
You're
Yeah.
poison ivy. You just
Yep.
like make all of a sudden like this giant Venus flytrap comes out of the ground and picks someone up and it disappears back into the ground.
Oh, there's like a nature conclave.
Yeah, what's
Whoa.
Selesnya?
Yeah.
Selesnya?
Selesnya.
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 They're a conclave.
You can play as an elephant person.
Yep.
Actually, I think I made my character, or at least
Locks
the
it.
mage or the sorcerer.
Said he said not an asshole.
Too late.
That might be too much of a stretch for him. You know how we were talking about that role playing aspect?
Yeah, you
Yeah.
got a bit.
You know what? Another thing in that book I was talking about, it
It's the
said
one thing I'm good at.
it said another thing I read in that book is said write what you know.
Yeah.
Right, what you know, right?
Oh man. Yeah, everybody's a shadow character, and I'm the bright, bubbly person, right?
Hi.
Yeah.
You're the distraction.
Yeah.
Everyone's paying attention to you while we
That's
just
right.
come around and slit their throats.
Oh,
No.
You just need to be like extremely good look, like whatever gender you end up being, extremely good looking to like where like when you smile, people are distracted.
Yeah.
Like hi.
Everyone and
I like that now she wrote #truth, right?
Everyone and everything is attracted to you.
Yeah.
I could get into this.
You need to make
Celestia
was it Zap
conclave.
Brannigan?
Brannigan.
I think everyone's attracted to me.
There we go. That's even better.
Actually wrong. All the time.
Welcome to my quarters, or as I like to call it, the Love-nasium.
I could get into this Celestia conclave. They say everyone is a potential ally until the moment they demonstrate their hostility to the conclave or the will of the world soul.
Sandy says just channel Unikitty.
Yeah.
I'm missing the reference. I'm assuming it's
From the Lego movie?
happy
Happy, bubbly,
Oh,
and then
Unicorn
something
Kitty.
happens and
Yes.
suddenly they are
I
rage
forgot
monster
that's what her name
incarnate.
was.
Yeah.
Have you
As
guys
did
seen
I.
the second one yet?
No.
Yes.
Is it good?
Yeah, it wasn't as good as the last one. Or
Ooh,
the first one.
If
but-
anybody's interested, next Thursday we're gonna go see Captain Marvel.
Mm.
What time?
I don't know time yet. Probably 7, I think is what Ashley said.
I clock out right at 7.
All right, then you got 30
Hey,
minutes of
I
previews.
found
to-
another faction we might be interested in. It's
no,
the
that Jimmy's
Celestia
interested in.
conclave. Yeah.
What they do.
So
Nature people.
if we play the shadow organization, technically we all are supposed to pretend we're in a different
Yeah.
clan.
Well, so yes and no. There are so anyways, just to kind of intro into this, the next game that we're going to be playing is D&D, and specifically I've been wanting to run a game in the city of Ravnica, which is a setting from Magic the Gathering that they've recently translated into D&D. In this series, it's basically, like I said, steampunk Coruscant, which is made up of 10 guilds, each guild doing a different thing. Maybe I'll say something about what each guild is, but one of the guilds that everyone kind of started hinting at, like, oh, it'd be cool to be House Demir, which is kind of like unbeknownst secret kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But that can run into problems we were talking about of how do you have like an entire party around that, and but you could. So some of the ideas that are like Chris brought up, one is everyone pretends to be in the clan, a different clan, and just you're in that clan basically as a spy for Demir.
Okay.
Right.
So you're spying on them and reporting back. Your real allegiances are with Demir, but or maybe not, but you've just been kind of suckered into Demir, and now
nobody in the group knows everybody else is
Yeah.
in Demir.
Well, another thing is one of the more legitimate things that Demir is known for is they are the couriers for Ravnica.
Mm.
So, like, for instance, I thought it'd be funny if you had like a parcel shop, and you could call it the Dirtbags of Holding,
We're bike
Yeah.
messengers.
Mm-hmm.
and you could be in charge of like shipping out packages and stuff.
We're Johnny Mnemonic.
Yeah, that's another word. It's a legitimate Demir front where you would know people, but secretly you might get a task that's deliver this package and remove something else.
And people are
Okay.
trying to take
So-
the package from us.
Yeah, so that would make it a little more interesting from the aspect of depending on what package you're carrying, there are different aspects that you're going to want to encounter, right? So if you're walking through the rough part of town, maybe you want the big brute guy to walk with you. If your message has to get unseen to somebody else in a different area in town, maybe you have a different approach that you want to take to it. I'm just worried that we're not going to have a balanced group. Everybody's
Okay.
going to end up taking the same skills, right? Which will be great if we're all going to go stealth in something and then all deceive somebody.
Which could be a very fun game. It just needs to be balanced that way.
Yeah.
Which, like, and that's where it's like, if that's the game you want, sure, then that
Yep.
just lets me know for planning
Uh-huh.
less actual combat fights and more kind of skill challenge-ish.
Oh, and I'm fine with skill challenges. I just, hey, Mr. Guard here is blocking your way. Somebody talk to them and deceive them into doing it. All right, well, any one of us can do it because we're all deceive experts, right?
But if we fail, then we all die. So there needs to be ways out of it that isn't
When he-
combat-based.
When he just looks at us sternly.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I guess.
But it sounds like Jimmy may want to be...
Well, I'm just proposing an alternative. We could be
Celestia?
Celestia Conclave.
Yeah.
They're
who-
basically the nature
Yeah.
gurus.
So our quest can be to plant a garden.
White-green.
Well,
In the
to
magic
plant
reference.
a garden in a place where a garden is not supposed to be planted. Eco-terrorists.
Yeah. That could be fun. And we could also, I mean, if anyone wants to stay being sneaky, there's no reason you couldn't be a
They
sneaky
also said
eco-terrorist.
they want to be friends with everybody unless they give them a really good reason not to be friends. So
They're growing an
I
army.
like that philosophy.
Like, literally, probably.
So I don't mind playing a darker game, right?
Mhm.
As long as we're all kind of aligned with what we want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Again, my concern is just we're all going to end up having the same skills.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, there's nothing saying that we have to all pick assassin characters or spy characters just because we're in the spy house.
That's true.
Well,
But-
so all of those things that I listed out before, this actually will say, hey, for every different character class, here's what matches up to each house.
Yeah.
I
Gotcha.
pulled all the Demir ones, and every single one of them has the same set of skills.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And I feel like that if we did play something like that, it would be a lot of work on Chris because I feel like a lot of it would be creating puzzles and interesting.
It's certainly
Stealth
it's
moments.
harder to create an intrigue campaign than it is a battle campaign.
Definitely.
So
another option that they bring up is for like integrating people, maybe same clan, maybe different, is you all grew up together. You may have gone separate ways and to become different, different guilds, but everybody hangs out at the local bar. Maybe Phil owns the local bar and you guys all grew up together. You didn't really venture much outside of the same neighborhood.
Should probably make it distinct from the last game we
Yeah.
just played.
I was using that as an example. Does not have to
Maybe-
be the actual truth.
Our favorite high school teacher died, and now we all are coming back to avenge her and figure out what happened.
Ooh.
maybe.
Or we're all just trying to plant a garden.
Yeah.
I'm pretty
I don't
into
know. I
that.
kind of
Could
really
be
like
interesting.
that. I like that idea. We have to navigate both the city permit office and a local gang that controls the turf on which we want to plant our garden.
Gruel clans.
And
That's
the,
what
Can
it's
we make
from.
it really dark? Like a real dark garden game.
Are we
Sure.
gonna make this like Brooklyn Nine-Nine and the permit system's broken?
Yep. 9-9.
So it's just
Yep.
That's
just a
another. That's
rotating.
another idea. Is that we could say that everyone's from a different class, and you're all kind of like an investigative team
Mm.
that has been stacked with someone from every guild to make sure that there's no bias in the investigations.
Oh,
Okay.
who watches the Watchmen?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Kind of like a bipartisan. Well,
Quad
decapartisan.
Decapartisan.
Decapartisan society or
Decapartisan committee.
committee.
We're the secret 11th.
So
clan.
these are ideas that I'm throwing out to ways that you can deal with multiple guilds, multiple interests, but yet still have a cohesive party.
We could have a shop of curiosities or something like that, and then that way you could make up a series of curiosities or whatever that might take us to one guild vice another. You know,
Mhm.
depending on what it is, that gives you some leeway into seeding a story.
And there's also options to where maybe you're just not in any guild.
Oh.
Does that happen often in this world?
There was something about it. I was reading back through and doing it. There's
Surely not everybody in this world is
Not
in a guild.
yeah. Like I imagine your standard average dude probably does not.
Okay, I was thinking it's a world like Divergent where everyone
Everybody
turns 15
is-
and gets
yeah.
put in a guild.
But I like to punch things, and I'm smart.
And I'm smart. What do I do?
You become divergent.
Yep.
Mm.
Pretty
But if
much.
you decide to, what was it? Like if you pick the cheese and you feed
and
the dog
jump off trains.
and jump
or-
off trains.
Sorry, I'm trying to.
Oh yeah,
Oh, no
feed,
worries.
yeah, feed the dog
here
and pick the
in
cheese.
there somewhere.
I really like the idea of all of us being in the same group, just because I feel like we haven't done something like that. But if I understand not wanting all of us to be the same character, because that's rough.
Yeah, there are certain guilds, I guess, that facilitate having a larger group of classes, depending
Yeah.
on what it is. Just the shadow one was very specific.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Let's see
Oh
what
yeah.
else is out there.
Do I need to go through each of the clans again?
Might not be a bad idea.
Okay. That's over here. Oh, here you go. Questionnaire. What is important to me?
Oh,
There you
yeah,
go.
yeah, that page.
Okay.
All right. The flow chart. So, which is important to you? Nature and science? Learning other people's secrets and keeping my own? I wonder which one that is. Or society and community?
Nature and science.
Nature and science.
Science and community.
Damn it, Divergent.
All right.
We need a Divergent.
so-
game.
Are you just going to take the path that you know takes you to the...
No.
No, okay.
Well, this could be your specific character.
All right, fair enough.
So, Phil, where are you falling?
What's that?
Nature and science, learning. What's important to you? Nature and science, learning other people's secrets and keeping my own, society and community.
All up in everybody's business.
Learning the secrets. So, Phillips Demir.
All up in the business.
All right. Corey and Jimmy, where would you rather spend your time? In the laboratory or in nature growing with the growing things?
Oh, don't make me choose.
I don't know. I'm happier thinking about nature than I am going to a lab.
But
at,
I feel much more fulfilled with air conditioning and heating.
right.
This is your character, not necessarily you.
You said what's important to me.
You're me being your character.
What did the nature thing say again? Growing a tree? What?
In nature with the growing things. Or in the
Or
laboratory.
in the laboratory.
All right, for Chris, what is your attitude towards law and order? They limit our freedoms by their nature, or I want a hand in establishing order for the good of society?
I want a hand in establishing order.
Okay. Have you guys come to a decision?
Honestly,
Nature.
I'm happier in nature.
All right.
Yeah.
Doing what? Building a peaceful community in harmony with nature, or
That one.
clearing away the edifices of civilization so nature can grow again?
first
Oh yeah,
one.
that's a bit extreme. Yeah, I'll
Hey,
go with
guess
the
what?
first-
You are
That's
a
the
bioterrorist.
that's the Selesnya Conclave. Go figure.
Hey.
All right. What's the best way to establish order, Chris? A comprehensive system of laws, military might in the pursuit of justice, or contracts and obligations?
Military might in the pursuit of justice.
The Boros Legion.
Boros. Okay.
Isn't that the giant demon guy?
They're the red white ones.
Oh, they're the red ones, yeah.
It's the gauntlet. Whatever.
Yes, it's the fist.
Yeah.
Let me see your fist. The other one. Give me the book.
You said fist.
I know.
You said fist me.
Whoa.
That was
Not
my
that
thought
kind
as
of
well.
Oh,
podcast.
that's what I
Come
heard.
on, Jimmy.
Maybe
Not
it's
that
what
kind of
maybe
role
it's
play.
what I want to do
Hey,
there.
You
hey,
said beep.
hey. It's my job to say inappropriate things on this podcast. Stay in your lane.
We just did a whole section.
Yeah, Corey begs to differ
I
on that.
beg to differ.
We just did a whole section on being descriptive, Jimmy. Don't just say. Yeah. never-
Don't just say fist me. Say shove your fist
God, beep. Beep, 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 beep.
in my.
Beep, 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 beep.
Skadoodling.
All right, so what's your Selesnya character gonna be like?
Oh, great question.
He's like, well, I'm still going to be a rogue. I'm not just going to, like...
Well, I
kill
was a
people with
warlock
flowers.
before. I don't think I'll be a warlock this time. Well, I guess I could be a warlock with like a fae
Yeah.
patron. I could do that. I've never played a druid before, so I might be excited to play a druid.
What's Corey gonna play?
I was thinking about that stupid ranger that can make the dumb arrows, but I've read online that it's not a good character.
The dumb arrows?
The one from Xanthar's where you can like make 3 or 4 special kind of arrows.
Oh, the magic arrows.
But I've heard that it's not.
Just
a,
Hawkeye.
The Hawkeye.
yeah, you're Hawkeye. I've heard that's not.
Hey guys,
a good
I'm out of
class.
arrows.
He's
But you
like,
heard it's
"Stupid
it's
children."
not great.
I heard it's not optimized very well.
It was a
That
giant
like,
tip.
But you're the
Yeah.
only Avenger who can have a family, so there's that.
Or does
That's your
he?
superpower.
Well, probably not anymore.
oh, sad. Side note: has everyone here seen the second what's it called?
Toy Story.
Ant-Man movie?
Yes.
That ending I was not ready for.
Oh, yeah.
I completely forgot about
About Infinity War.
Yep, and just that feelings.
That's just because it seems so strange that Ant-Man could be doing like his relatively small side quest while
It's very small.
yeah, it's
actually.
very small, very small. While Infinity War
While
is going
it's
on.
happening.
Yeah.
So
Were there any other? No, it was really just Ant-Man that was semi-concurrent with.
Yeah.
Well, no,
Not
Doctor Strange just mentioned Rhodey.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, yeah, there's an Air Force colonel with a broken back.
Mm.
And he's like, that's amateur. I'm not fixing that.
Mm,
Any idiot can fix that.
that's not true.
But it would just be one of those things as like, start
Cindy
Infinity
saying
War.
spoiler warning.
You'll get over it. It's like start Infinity War, and then just like whenever logically Ant-Man would start, just like pause Infinity War, start Ant-Man.
Nice. Okay, so what do you think, Chris?
And everybody.
So for the Boros Legion, anyway, it says the Boros Legion sends individuals or small parties on small-scale military missions, usually to help quell riots or protect bystanders from dangerous situations. That is a way to set things up.
And then you could make it ambiguous by making us have to make moral choices,
Yep.
like we said earlier.
Basically, you're
Oh.
like you'd be like the protector of the group. Like,
Yeah, I would see it as, I was charged to go assemble a group and go get this thing done, right?
Yeah.
And then I somehow find you people and
or you could be the neighborhood watch for this area.
He's group daddy.
That's right.
Or like the
Group
guard.
daddy.
Like,
Group daddy.
How-
Zaddy.
why in every game do I end up being group daddy?
because you
Get
do
it.
it so well.
We're gonna get you. You really do, though. You're very good at planning. Phil gets to be who's the baby in The Incredibles?
Jack.
Jack. Phil gets to be Jack. Just fighting raccoons.
So Phil, what are you thinking still?
I'm the wild card.
Are you still going to be
Yep.
the quick talker?
Okay, well if you're a
Wild card.
toxic,
I mean, like
Wild card, bitches.
house, clan, conclave, whatever. I could mold my character. Like
So House Demir.
I've got my character built into.
Oh, that's right. We're super excited about playing that character.
I am
He's
super-
not
actually-
he's not changing it.
I actually switched. Yeah.
Oh,
Which
did
one
it?
was first?
Okay.
Which one was second? Yeah.
All right. So Corey,
Well,
have you come
I
up
can
with?
be the socially awkward one. Also, Sandy said giggity.
also,
what was that for?
What,
Was
what
that
song
for-
is
Yeah.
supposed to get stuck in our head?
Was that
Something
for
about the
Zaddy?
cat from.
So if you'd understand it if you watch the second Lego movie,
Okay.
like
No.
the new Poppy song that they have, like
Yeah.
everybody's
Oh, okay.
awesome, is the song is gonna get stuck in your head, like
Gotcha.
and it does get
And it
stuck.
does.
in your
She's
head.
Unikitty is the best of all of the things ever.
She's
Is she
all-
Allison Brie?
She's all grown up in this one.
Grown up Unikitty.
She's Unicat.
Yep.
Meow.
So
So
Cor-
what are the Ravnica specific classes?
I do not think they have specific classes.
They got
They just
specific
have some.
races.
They have
They have
specific
races.
races
You
and
should be-
some. They have some updates to like there are there are guild specific spells
Gotcha.
that you can get.
Guild specific spells. There's also they pulled out some of the races from the PHB.
Gotcha.
Because I was looking and I was like, oh, I want to be a half elf. There's no half elf.
Well, there are elves, so
Yeah,
technically
so,
you
like,
could be half elves.
You could be a half elf.
Could I be
Yeah.
the weird
Like, I'm
turtle
just gonna
from
be an elf
Tomb
elf.
of Annihilation?
I don't think so.
No. So wait, what is your character technically? Like, what are they good at? Just so I can balance. Are they like a rogue, a bard?
He's gonna be, I guess, more
Yes.
of a bard, right?
Yes.
Are they stealthy?
Yes.
and deceptive.
So like
Yes.
That's all I
what
needed.
class are you playing?
Rogue 3, Bard 2.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Rogie Bard. And you are a blood hunter?
If I'm now Boros Legion, I got to look it up. So,
Yeah.
Okay.
You could still probably do figure out the blood hunter thing.
I don't know. Am I allowed to do
Maybe.
that? You said you wanted to think about it.
I mean,
Hell yeah.
you said you were
going
gonna
to
spec something up, so
Yeah, I can.
Probably a druid.
You're going to do druid.
so what does that leave us like? Full up magic-y, probably.
I could be a healer. I've never done
We've already got 2 magic-y people.
Hmm?
Bard is
druid.
magic.
I
Druid's
was
magic.
thinking they're both kind of half,
Hmm.
where it's like a special. I was thinking straight on like sorcerer, wizard,
Oh yeah,
magic.
Yeah. Classic. Classic.
Or there's also your range kind of archerish
Yeah.
kind of, which archer would fit in with or ranger would fit in with Selesnya.
Yeah. Yeah, let me do ranger and I'll play around and look at what the like specific rangers have to offer.
If you're sure, I could be the ranger.
Well, I mean,
ranger is my favorite class, so
you've
I'm
got-
cool with it. I just have been a ranger a lot.
You've got your red and your blue and your yellow and your pink and your black and your white and your green. You just gotta
Yeah, and then I mix them all together.
exactly.
Oh my gosh, I had an idea. Is what to pull everybody together is you guys own a flower shop.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
In a urban place where nothing grows.
Yeah, well, I mean, everyone's got to have.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Everyone's got to have.
Do
You
we
know,
have
you got to
a-
have some green.
And our wedding flowers.
Do
You
we
gotta
have
have.
a-
You gotta have some green.
Yeah.
Our favorite customer is Tommy Wiseau.
Oh no.
Why do I know that name?
Because
From that
The
thing that
Room.
we showed you
when
last
we
time,
made you
the
watch
room.
The Room.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That guy looks.
There's a scene where he walks into the flower
Flower
shop
shop.
and just like
Oh,
it's
yeah,
very
that's right, I
apparent that
remember.
he overdubbed all the dialogue in it in that particular scene, and it's terrible. Anyway,
I
Oh, hi,
love.
Mark.
I love one of the Selesnya guild spells for cantrip is friends.
yes, yes.
Yes.
Do they have a new cantrip? I know that Demir had a new cantrip called Encode Thoughts.
Yeah. Do.
So no one can read your mind.
It essentially lets you turn your thoughts into the strands, like in Harry Potter. With
Yeah.
with the pensive.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Oh, that's noise.
Yeah, so it lets you turn your thoughts into tangible like things. So
So you can go back and watch them.
Oh, here it gives you
Yeah.
some like.
or like
Well,
share
these
them.
are
Or
like-
write it down. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So one of the systems that the Guildmaster Sky does is you have renown in your guild that you as you level up. So like things that you can get like extra contacts for things and that sort of thing. So let's see. Ooh,
Ew.
there's also the idea that you could be a church, like a nature-esque church.
Mm.
Because like one of the special roles is evangel, where you want to treat potential converts. A votary are soldiers who protect the gardens in the area around the central tree. A sagittar are archers who defend key guild locations. And the rest of them are like really high rate or high ones.
Right. Okay.
Basically, you're just a part of a. Your desire is to be a part of a larger community.
Okay.
Like, so everything's always about what's better, what's the best for the conclave.
Yep.
You good?
He's getting a glass. Most members of the Selesnya Conclave are true believers. The tight-knit community allows little room for the cynical or disillusioned. They are spiritual, empathetic, and generally peaceful unless roused to action. Their flaws and bonds alike grow naturally from their close ties to the community.
Cool.
So one of the ideas that we could do is that we could say that you are a part of the city that's kind of butting up on Boros and Selesnya like lands.
Mm-hmm.
So you're kind of like at a guard shack that's kind of manned by a bunch of different guilds to kind of like keep the peace, sort of thing.
Demilitarized zone.
Yeah. Well, not necessarily just it's because the border, there's not definitive like
Yeah,
borders per se, but this is you're just there's some
it's neutral.
it's neutral territory, but there are guild interests for both in there. And Phil could pretend to be in the Boros League, but actually be, you know.
Oh man, I want to play a drunken
Not
master.
right now.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So how does that sound?
How do you
And
like
then it
them
could just be,
apples?
and then it could just be like misadventures and things that happen in that area.
And shenanigans ensue.
All right, so what classes are we playing?
So
Dru-
he's,
Druid, Rogie,
Rogie Bard.
Rogie Bard.
and then
Druid.
probably she was thinking
I'm open to whatever.
open to whatever.
Would you rather play something punchy, or would you rather play something?
Talkie.
I have zero preference. So what were you thinking? You might want to switch to a drunken monk.
No. I don't care. I'll play whatever the group needs.
Mhm.
If you don't want to play the healer, I'll make a healer. If you want to,
We're in the same boat.
Yeah.
great.
What have you not played? Because I feel like you've made more characters than I have in your lifetime.
I've played a little bit of everything, so it's really if you have a preference on something you like to try, I'm happy.
Is
to
there
fill out the
anything
rest
you'd
of the group.
rather not play? Let's go that way.
Nope.
Well, you were saying you'd played a lot of archers.
No, I was saying it was my favorite.
Oh, okay.
Like I love playing them, but yeah, I'm cool with an archer.
All right, I'm gonna get the D out, the dice out. We're just gonna roll for class.
We're gonna get the
Yep.
D out.
the D out.
I'm
Bring it
leaving.
out.
Well, I was gonna say D20. I was gonna
I
say
feel like-
D20, but I wasn't sure how many options there were.
I just came in having the idea for the face character, so like I didn't plan anything else. Is the problem?
Well, that was part of the reason of having this talk.
Yeah.
Session 0, guys.
Wham, wham, wham.
Thank you for this pretzel, by the way.
I'll go.
Bro,
Have you ever played like a paladin?
I have, yeah, but I can play it again.
I feel like the Blood Hunter sounds really interesting. If you don't want to play Blood Hunter, I'll play a Blood Hunter.
Do you want to?
Yeah.
I mean,
100%. I'll do it if you,
you know
don't
where
want
it is?
to. Nope, but I'll find it.
You might need to we might need to tweak it some. I don't know how well that lines up with Selesnya, but it might not. You might be one of the dark or like
I'll be dark.
the guild understand or the conclave understands that, you know, sometimes dirty things have to be done.
Dirt.
look it up. Read like the first line that he puts in it. It's pretty good.
But I think we got a handle at least for everybody else so that we can do some more planning and planning, and I can at least start writing out.
It means all those responses that I had for, you know, what did you find in your
Yeah.
bag are completely gone.
Yeah, you be the Blood Hunter. I'll read about it.
Let
I
Corey
just don't
let
wanna
Corey
take
think
it.
overnight because she'll change her mind in the morning.
Believable. So I think that when you write the story, we really just need to know why we have a breakdown between the two faction lines, right? Because then we can figure out where to go from there.
So
Well, like I said, I think it's gonna.
So there were novels built in this world.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So like canonically, I don't really think we need a reason for the lines to break
Yeah.
down. They just broke down. Somebody sneezed.
And
now
what do you mean by
everyone's
line?
So-
Are you talking like
I'm talking
guild
about-
tension, or
are you in the Druid Guild too?
fighting. I could be. That was
It-
where we came down to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So maybe you're in Demir, but you're secretly infiltrating Boros.
That's what we're saying.
And
I think
yeah.
Philip's gonna. You guys don't know he's in Demir. He's actually a Boros person that
Yeah. So you
works for Demir.
you and I probably know each other. We've probably been tasked to go handle something, and we know it's going to have to do with nature magic. So we seek these guys out.
Cool. What I was thinking was why are Boros and the nature people mad at each other?
Are we supposed to be mad at each other?
That's what I assume when you have a demilitarized
No, it's not.
zone.
An idea. That's where I say a demilitarized zone is not the
Right.
right word. It's more of.
It's a buffer zone to hospitable areas, right?
It's more of like
Or hostile areas.
you both have interests nearby, so you want to maintain a presence there to keep tabs on the. So like there might be a fort or something nearby
that has a tree in it.
or no, but like there also
A
might
dying tree, the
Oh,
last of its
You
kind.
have to let us into that tree.
like you guys might have a church that's also in this area,
Mhm.
and you don't want to depend on the Boros. You know,
Tree church.
you don't, yeah. It's a tree it's a church in the tree. Like you have to go,
Yep.
like up around.
Cool. So that's just what I wanted to know. Like,
Yeah,
why are
that's
we
that's
not
kind of
friendly?
the idea here. Is necessarily it's not a strict you've now left Boros land and you're
Right.
now in Selesnya land.
Yep.
It's just it's an area of the city where there's a lot of presence of both. So there's potential for tensions because like get out of here, we don't serve your Boros kind or something.
Mm.
And is that normal? Is there tension, or is it right? Because
The whole society is held together by a magical pact that sometimes breaks down. So
So yes.
yes.
Okay.
There is constant
Sometimes
tension,
it breaks down
much like
because
a-
the magic is just old. Sometimes it breaks down because people are dicking with it. and
Yeah.
making
it's,
it break
it's
down.
much like a suspension bridge. It's constantly under tension.
Oh.
And if it weren't
Ah.
under tension, it would fall apart.
Hmm.
Okay,
So
philosopher Jimmy.
if everyone was friendly, all our bridges would fall down.
Yep.
Jeff Bridges.
Or if it was windy at just the right frequency.
Yeah.
That is terrifying to watch. Just like an oscillating bridge.
All right. So I think we got we got a little bit of a rocky foundation going.
No, yeah.
Enough for people to do some investigating and
Level 5, yeah.
yeah.
Max
Level
hit
5.
points because we're heroes.
That sounds right.
100%.
All right. So come back in 2 weeks for
I was
the
gonna
first
ask
episode.
if we should roll for stats this time, but
I'm gonna let what's it called? D&D Beyond do it.
D&D Beyond is where that extra class was.
Okay.
That's good.
You
Do
sure
I
you
what?
don't want it?
I played
You
it, I
guys
played it.
you guys could both make it and then choose afterwards.
Or we could both be blood hunters and see how that goes. That could be very funny.
that was my blood.
No, that's my blood.
No.
All right, sorry, I interrupted your outro.
I was just saying, come back in 2 weeks for the first campaign, and I got to come up with a name for it other than just Ravnica City of Guilds. So,
Bye.
bye.
Bye 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 bye. Bye 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 bye.
There, read that.